For 19 years of my life, I thought my past was how my future was going to pan out. I thought this was just how my life was going to persist and eventually end. I wasn't living, I was dying one moment at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm here to tell you right now to open up your third eye, because you don't know what you don't know. So I'm here to give you what you don't know right now. So once you're aware of the problem, then you can go find your solution. Wherever you're stuck in life right now, and we just talked about, for me, it was, I just thought it wasn't a reality to talk to people, get better socially, and transform as a person. Or maybe like you're stuck at a 9-to-5 job, like dead end job, like you think this is just how it is. Or maybe you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage where, God, it's just not how it used to be. Do I have to find another person, or can we fix it? And the answer is your past does not have to equal your future.
Hello and welcome everybody to the Your Best Self podcast. My name is Robert Hurt, and before I introduce my next guest to you today, I want you to imagine the following scenario. Imagine you are at a social gathering. Maybe you are at the bar with your friends, maybe you are in a networking party, and you see this beautiful, beautiful girl and woman standing across of the room. And she's so beautiful, she's absolutely gorgeous, and you want to talk to her, but you don't know what to say. You are just frozen. You don't know, how am I going to approach her? Your legs are starting to shake, and your hands are getting sweaty, and you have absolutely no idea how to talk to her. It's 5 minutes go by, 10 minutes go by, 20 minutes go by, and you're still didn't find the courage to go up to her and talk to her. Maybe you're on a social gathering party, but you didn't want to go in the first place, and every step of the way felt like rocks being tied to your legs. So if you can relate to that sort of feeling and scenario, then you will definitely want to hear this interview, because today I have a guest with me who is by the name of Brian Choi, who has been living a crippled life, crippled by social anxiety for 19 years. This man knew that he had something to change, because after testing himself as the human guinea pig, basically, he finally figured out how to overcome, that social anxiety and meet women, build, social connections from scratch. And now for the last 3 years, he's been going on a mission to be helping hundreds of men around the world to escape that mental cage that you put yourself into by having that social anxiety and that fear, and help them to become their best self. So now he's helping more and more people grow that self-confidence and go past their full potential. So with that said, Brian Choi, welcome to the interview. Welcome to the podcast. How are you doing today?
Robert, I'm doing awesome, man. Who helped you write that intro? Sounds awesome.
I'm doing it myself, just off the cuff.
It was actually me. I forced Robert to write the intro just to hype me up. Exactly. He did a very good job.
Exactly. So, Brian, tell us a little bit about your background and, what's the story behind, this social anxiety?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny because it's weird, Robert, because in school, they teach you how to get far in your career, or people talk about your physical health, but not that many people talk about your mental health, right? So it's something that I wasn't even aware of, because being raised and grown in Korea, people don't talk about mental health that much. And it's actually a legit thing. Like, it's a real thing to have anxiety, to have depression, all those things. Yeah. And for me, I didn't even know it was a problem. It's kind of one of the things where you have like a lower back pain, right? It's kind of like you're hitting day by day, but you can quite know and pick and point like what it actually is. And that's how it was for me with social anxiety. I went day by day, just living like a zombie. It kind of like a sleep mode, just going day without any purpose, without, I'm going to like a cliche saying here from like one of those like entrepreneur talks, but that's basically how it was. Like, I didn't even know, like I had no friends. I didn't know how to talk to people in general. And for me, I couldn't even pick up social cues, and I couldn't understand why people really laughed. I couldn't really tell why people kind of joked around and what made people like other people. Because for me, like, I only had like one or two people. I couldn't call them friends because we just kind of hang out, but there was no real connection, right? Yeah. So for me, like the most difficult part for me was just people and just understanding myself and just understanding my brain, because I couldn't understand that. So for 19 years of my life, I was just like sleep mode, zombie mode, going day by day. And a lot of people go through that. And I guess for me, I just felt really isolated because, like you said, let's say you go to a party, let's say you go to a networking event, let's say you go to your family reunion, like whatever, like whatever social situation. Because as human beings, like every day we go in a social situation. Yeah. Now you go in, and I've always felt like there was like a glass wall, not a glass ceiling, but like a glass wall, like a little bubble that you're around people and they're having fun, they're having food, and they're like mingling, they're meeting each other, they're exchanging business cards, whatever. And I was just kind of there, kind of like a chopped liver, just not understanding like who to talk to, like what to say. And that's kind of like, you know, what like my day-to-day life was, an everyday situation, going to the supermarket, going to school, going to the next class, like all those things, like talking to people on the phone. Like I didn't know how to keep the conversation going. And
Yeah.
for me, like I didn't even know that was a problem. And I didn't know I had a problem because for me, like no one really told me about that, right? And school didn't teach you.
Yeah.
My parents didn't teach me that. And in Asia, especially, like people are super introverted, people are shy.
Yeah.
And not that itself is that itself isn't bad. It's just for me going to America, it just amplified.
Yeah, true.
Because like everyone in America are like so much more like outgoing.
Oh yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm this like shy Asian kid going in, and I'm just like, again, like that thing amplifies being in that corner. And for me, like the loneliness just like persisted. And that was like 19 years of my life, basically.
Wow. Now, and then before we're gonna continue here, you know, I like that you're saying that you were unaware of the problem, and I believe that a lot of people have the same thing. You know, and you mentioned sort of like going through your life like a zombie, and merely like I usually say, you merely exist through the day instead of actually living it consciously. You know, and you know, the social anxiety thing, I believe that a lot of people, as you had it, are simply unaware of it. They are just like living their day-to-day life, but they don't actually know like how can it be better. Like they don't know that because they have never experienced that, you know. So what was the sort of like your rock bottom moment where you realize, all right, I actually have social anxiety and I have a problem that I need to solve?
Yeah, and Robert, what you said is like absolutely correct. And I don't like to label things necessarily like, oh, this is social anxiety, you have social anxiety. And for me, like I was never medically diagnosed as social anxiety disorder. I just knew like I had something like that. And for everyone, they have certain degree of this. Like everyone has it to a certain degree. It's whether like little, big, like really severe, so on and so forth. And it's really important to understand that it is something you can improve on. And just like anything, it is a skill. So for me, a rock bottom moment, like everything kind of compounded. So it wasn't like this one thing all of a sudden that kind of just put me in the rock bottom moment, but it's like everything that kind of compounded and like added up. But it was like this one moment that was kind of like a trigger moment when, so in high school, I'm in high school in Korea, and I went to like an all guy Catholic school. So you wear the school uniform, you go to school, everyone there is like dudes, like there's no girls there, right?
That's
and
crazy.
So it's terrible.
I already love it. I already love the story. All right, go ahead.
That's awesome. No, for me, I didn't love the story when I was like in that moment. But it's for 3 years in Korea, like they do that purposely because in Korea, like, so South Korea is like ranked number 2 in education globally. I think the number 1 is like Finland, and like Germany's like up there as well. But for us, like education is super important, and I'm talking about formal education, not like, you know, like self-education, like this podcast over here. But, you know, for 3 years, they basically lock you in kind of like what I call a chicken cage, and you study your life away. Now, once a year, they give you an opportunity, something called a school festival, where you go to an all-girls school. So all the dudes go to the all-girls school, and you just kind of mingle there. And there's like different booths. You play dart games, and you play karaoke games, and there's like different you know, comedy shows that you can kind of meet people. Now, I went with like 2 of my classmates because they're like, hey, Brian, we're going to this thing. You want to come? I'm like, what is this? They're like, it's a school festival. I'm like, I don't know what that is, but that sounds fun. So whatever, let's go. And then we went there. It's like so fun, like festivity, like music playing, like people just like hugging each other. And again, that feeling of like being inside that bubble, everyone's having fun. And there's you, and there was me and my friends. It's like once a year, kind of like it's like once a year where it's like socially acceptable for people to talk to strangers, because in Korea, like people don't talk to strangers. It's like people like they freak out.
We don't do that.
Yeah, exactly. yeah, exactly. So it's like once a year where you can like go approach girls and get their numbers. So it's like once a year, like every guy's like determined. It's like, we gotta go hunt. We gotta like gather all the resources, or we're gonna starve to death, right? So
that's crazy.
They go out, hunt the wild boar, so to say, or like they go out. Terrible joke. They go out, and then like they get as many girls' numbers as possible. That way, they can like get a girlfriend or like go on a date with someone, right? So every guy's going crazy, like going up to every single girl, like, hey, can I get your number? Hey, you're cute. And my friends are doing that too, and they're talking about like, hey, how many numbers did you get? He's like, oh, I got 5. Oh, I got 10. No, my girls are cuter. No, my girls are cuter. And there's me just kind of like existing, like you said, not living, not thriving, but just existing there. And I didn't have anything to talk about because I couldn't go talk to any girls. I couldn't even like, I was just so awkward. I was like so anxious. Like the burning feeling in your stomach when you're like something, is going wrong. And like, that's how I was feeling the whole time. And later, like as we were going home, my friends were like, Brian, you gotta get one girl's number. I was like, maybe. And you know how like when you say that to your boys, like when you go out to a bar or whatever, and like they're like, nah, I'm just enjoying the time, man. I'm just I'm just
you find excuses.
Like there's there's always that one guy, right? So for me, I was that guy. I was saying like, I'm just having fun. I'm doing the festival. And they're like, Brian, you got to do it. I was like, all right, whatever. And so it was getting dark out. So it was like 7 p.m. It was like kind of like summer to fall. So it's kind of like chilly. And there's this one girl standing there. And my friends are like, okay, you got to go talk to that girl. We're going to stand over here. And we're not going home until you get that girl's number. So
the pressure's on.
Not to put pressure on you or anything. So I was put on the spot. And so my friends are like over there off to the side, just kind of like looking at me. I'm just standing there. I'm staring at this girl. She's talking to her friend and like across the road. Just imagine how creeped out she would have been. Like, she probably like just saw this one guy just like kind of standing there, like staring at her the whole time. So I was that creepy guy just standing there. And I was like, as if my feet were like glued to the floor, like as if I turned stone into stone by Medusa. I was just like there, like I'm like, I gotta do it. And I was like twitching and flinching, but I just couldn't do it. Like, oh, it's not the perfect moment. They're still talking. They're in a conversation. Or no, I'll go after like all the people clear out all these excuses. And it got to a point where 40 minutes passed, literally. And I'm getting more nervous and nervous and nervous. And my palms are like so sweaty. Like I'm about to like pass out, man. And my friends are like, Brian, we got to do this or like we're not able to go home. Because like in Korea, like we all use public transportation because it's kind of like New York City. It's a big city. So no one really drives. So like, well we got to do it now or like all the subways and all the trains are going to shut down. I was like, okay, fine. So now my back's against the wall. Now I really got to do it. So I was like, okay. I'm gonna do it. Like I'm so nervous. Like go up to her and I ask her. I don't even know what to say. I'm just like, hey, do you have a boyfriend? And her kind of like looks right next to her friend. And they kind of give each other like the look girls give each other.
It's like,
and then they look back at me. Yeah, exactly. And they look back at me and she's like, no. And I was like, okay, thanks. And I literally run away because I was so nervous and like run back to my friends. And they're like, okay, guys, I did it. And they're like, you got her number? I was like, no, I talked to her. They're like, well, what did you say? I said, well, I asked her if she has a boyfriend. And they're like, okay, and then what did she say? I said, she says she doesn't have a boyfriend. And they're like, what did you say? I said, well, I said thanks, and I came here. They're like, what are you doing?
No.
And for me, like, I just went home just feeling so ashamed. Like, the entire way, we're sitting on the bus. And I was just like, so, like, my friends are still talking about like what girls they got the numbers, and I'm just like sitting there, just like so defeated, like looking out the window. And coming home, I just couldn't sleep that night. For me, that was such a traumatizing experience because like I really got put in to a situation where it just showed like for me, like I associate that as like, oh, this is the best I could do, and this is who I am. So I'm just sitting there in my room at 2 or 3 in the morning. I have school the next day in high school, but I'm just like still here. And I was so desperate, and I go on YouTube and search how to meet girls. And if you're not, unless you're a desperate man like I was, you don't search that on the internet.
True.
And surprisingly enough, a lot of videos popped up, and these like prank videos popped up. You know the prank videos where like they go up to the girls on the college campuses and they ask these days like lines and like they got your numbers. So a lot of people watch it as entertainment, and I watched that as my reality shattered. Because when I saw that, I was like, oh my God, you can go up to strangers and meet them. You can get their numbers and go on dates with them. Oh my God. Like I couldn't stop binge watching them. So that was my rock bottom moment where also it was like a turning point in my life where, oh my God, there may be a tiny bit of hope like a
Yeah.
little bit of light at the end of the tunnel. I was like, oh,
Hmm.
maybe there is a way out. So that was kind of
Yeah.
like a rock bottom moment for me.
It's crazy. Thank you for sharing, by the way. It's always,
Absolutely.
fun to hear stories like that, which are very, very personal, obviously. And sometimes,
Uh-huh.
for you, you gotta, also get the courage up to tell that story. Because, for example, like just yesterday, I was looking at the very first video that I made. And it was
Mhm.
so cringy, but I had to share it, with some people because it's just like so fun to see the evolution of where you have been
Yeah.
and to where you got now, right? And I love what you said there, where you were, back home, you were in a train, you looked outside and you sort of, identified yourself, as this failure because you thought that
Mhm.
this is the best that you can do. And
Mhm.
that's obviously at that point, you probably didn't realize that this is a very unhealthy thought to have, to identify yourself like, oh, I'm a failure. Like I will never
Mhm.
be talking to girls. And I said, it's like a traumatizing, experience for you, which, if you do not resolve that, can have like very, very bad effects, in your future life. But luckily you did it. You got the girl's number at a certain point. So let's talk about that. What was your turnaround moment where you were like, all right, I got this?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's like really important to look back at these too, because when people see you, they can kind of, like if for like your best self podcast listeners, here's
Hmm.
like, you see Robert and like other people who come on here and they share their stories, you can't really
Yeah.
relate. And I think it's important to like share the evolution, like you said.
Yeah.
So I went down that, like when you go on YouTube and like you search like how to drill a hole in your wall and like you end up
Yeah.
watching like cute giraffe videos after like 2 hours
Yes.
later.
Or like
So
the
like
10 underwater mysteries that have never been solved,
yeah,
stuff like
yeah,
that.
and like, and at a certain point, you're like, why was I here in the first
Yeah,
place? So like, that's kind
exactly.
of like how it was. I started like how to meet girls, and then it wasn't just like an overnight thing. And I kept like going down this rabbit hole, and like the prank videos were cool. Then I learned about like actual like legitimate human psychology and like social skill stuff.
Mm,
That like what kind of things to say, like human psychology, female psychology, conversational skills, verbal patterns, vocal tonality, eye contact, body language, all these kind of things. And I saw this one dude just effortlessly like going up to people and like just socializing, not just getting girls' numbers, but like having fun, like with
mm,
complete strangers.
yeah.
When I saw that, I was like, oh my God, I want that so bad. Like I
Mm,
want that life. I
mm,
want to be that person. So I started studying this guy, and his name's Owen Cook. People may know him as RSD Tyler. And he used to have like this huge dating company called Real Social Dynamics. It's an 8-figure company. Now they're switching more towards self-help.
wow.
And he was like one of my early mentors that I saw on YouTube. Later, I met him in person. I went to his workshops, seminars, and his other programs and his courses. And I
Awesome.
started studying his stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna go out. I'm gonna
Mm,
implement, and I'm gonna stop dabbling around. My life's gonna change.
mm.
And basically, I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go to these women's university campus again. So
Mm.
creepy, like the worst like creepiest thing ever.
Yeah.
Like everyone's like, there's like studious women just like carrying their books and backpacks, like going to the class, and like I'm there like the only dude who's like so out of place. Like you can spot me
Yeah.
from like 5 miles away. and,
Yeah.
and I'm just there and trying to like like start conversations and like practice the things that this guy was teaching me on the internet, which was, it started with like opening the conversation, and then doing these jokes, and all these different things, and listening skills. And I saw this like one really cute girl. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it. So I like follow her again. So creepy. Like
Just follow her.
it's like, yeah, it's the creepiest thing is like follow her from a distance. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do it now. No, not the perfect time. No, there are people on the way. No, no, no. She's walking. All these excuses,
Yeah.
and I couldn't do it. The next girl, I couldn't do it. Same thing. The whole day passed by, 3 or 4 hours in the cold.
Wow.
I was there. It's like November or something,
Mhm.
and I just went home again, defeated in the train. I was like, why am I like this?
Yeah.
And this went on for 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, that I just like kept doing it over and over. I just couldn't talk to a single human
Mhm.
being. And eventually, um, I gave in and I went to this internet forum. And when you say forum, it sounds so creepy because like nowadays people hang out on Facebook groups,
Yeah,
but
true.
like, just about 4 or 5 years ago, people still
Mhm.
hung out in forums.
True.
So I go on this like weird, creepy like forum where like guys go out and like meet girls, or, like talk to people, talk to strangers to improve their social life, which is so like we're nerds, man. And
Yeah.
so I go on and I see this one guy posting. It's like, hey, just landed from Australia, looking for a person to go out and improve our lives with. I'm just like, I'm not gonna do that. It's like for me, I saw that. I was like, maybe I need this guy's help, but my ego kicked in. I'm like, I can do this by myself, and also I thought it was creepy.
Yeah.
So I go out again, and then I fail miserably, come home defeated. I'm just like, okay, whatever. So I text the guy. His name is Alex, and amazing guy, and one of my first mentors in life and personal development in general. So he and I meet up, and like as I'm waiting for him, I was like, so like Brian, your life is literally at rock bottom moment right now. Like you're meeting a strange man on the internet to go talk to strangers on the street. Like this is the worst moment of your life. So I'm waiting for the guy, and like eventually, we meet up, we sit at a cafe, drink. I'm sipping on my little, sippy tea, and Alex is just kind of like, this guy looks super confident, like super talkative, and like he's like asking me all these questions. So like, hey man, so when did you find out about all these things, like all these questions? And I'm just like, I don't know. I'm just like, I just found out about this. And like, as we're talking, I keep looking at my peripheral vision, because like there's an adjacent table next to us. There are two girls talking there, like two college girls. And Alex kind of saw that, and he kind of read my eyes, right? And he's like, you want to go talk to them? I'm just like, nah, I'm just talking to you, man. It's fine. Like I did that thing again.
Yeah.
And he's like, and he kind of rolled his eyes, and he's like, okay, whatever, man. Like just watch me do it. I was like, okay. And like he goes up to the girls, and like he talks, and like he makes these jokes, and they're laughing, and they're like, in my mind, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like I'm seeing what I saw in the YouTube videos, but in real life, this is like, oh my God, like this is crazy. So he comes back, and I'm like, dude, oh my God, that was amazing. And he's like, dude, what are you talking about? Well, anyways, let's get out of here. Because for him, it was normal.
Yeah.
And then we go out of the cafe, and it's like this college town we were at. It's like neon signs, like huge, like K-pop music playing everywhere. And like people just hanging out outside the cafe. And Alex kind of told me to go point at the girl. I was like, you got to go talk to them. I was like, okay. Then again, my feet were glued, like stuck to the ground. I couldn't do it. And he literally like physically pushed me and motivationally pushed me. So I had to do it. And then I asked her this time, like I knew my lesson, right? Okay, don't ask her if she has a boyfriend, just ask for the number. Because like I failed miserably last time. So I was just like, I'm going for the one sentence kill. Let's go, boys. and then I asked her, hey, can I get your number? And like she does a thing again with her girlfriend. Girls do this all the time.
Yeah.
And then she looks at her friend, and she looks back at me, and she's like, I have a boyfriend, thank you. And I was like, okay, thanks. But I was like, oh man, I did it.
Yeah.
And then after the second one was like not as bad. It sucked a little less. And the third one was a little better. And like fourth one, the interaction became like, it was like 2 seconds, the 5 seconds, the 6 seconds. And all of a sudden I see this one like super cute girl, like 5'10", like slim, beautiful girl, like short hair, is like walking super fast. And I saw that, and Alex is like, dude, you gotta go. I was like, okay, I'll like run after her. And then I started talking to her, so nervous. Like mind you, I'm 5'6". I'm a midget. And like there's a gorgeous girl at 5'10", like the cutest girl I've ever talked to at the time. And I'm starting a conversation with her. He's like, hey, I know you're busy going somewhere, and like, start a conversation. And she's like, oh no, it's fine. And then we started a conversation. I was like, at a certain point, I was like, oh my God, this is going so well. I should ask for a number.
Yeah.
Because it was going for like 40 seconds. For me, that was like record breaking, like Guinness World Record.
I've never came here. What do I do now? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, it's like, oh, I didn't know I was gonna make it this far. So I was like, hey, so do you wanna go for coffee sometimes? And she's like, sure. You want my number? I was like, you're asking. Oh my God. And then we exchanged numbers. I get her number. And that was like the first phone number of a girl I ever got. And
wow,
rest is history.
Wow, that's awesome, man. Congrats. Yeah. So happy for you. Yeah.
That girl never texted me back, by the way.
Well, I mean, but you did.
But it was a great experience.
You did. And it started off like the ball rolling, right? So I want to go back, to a few things here, because one of the things that I think is important for a lot of people to realize is that at some point where you sort of had that rock bottom moment is where you made the decision, right? You made the commitment to improve yourself. And that's, I believe, the very, very first step that you need to take take if you want to truly, change your life and become your best self. Because if you don't make the commitment and if you don't make the decision to actually change, nothing will change, And to me, it's like so incredible to see that your life in a way can literally change just like that. Like in this second where you are listening and seeing this, you could literally change your life by making the decision of like, I think they're right. Like I got to go out there and I got to do my thing. So, I applaud you for that, you made the decision, you made the commitment, to do that and share that as well, because that's the first step to get out there and improve yourself.
Absolutely.
And the second thing, you mentioned is where you had that again and where you were talking to them and it didn't work out. And I think a lot of people start questioning themselves, right? Where it's just like all the time, like, am I good enough? Is there something wrong with me? Do I look so shit that, nobody wants to talk to me? And that's obviously also a very, sometimes you can get yourself incredibly down. If you start doubting yourself, you start questioning yourself, you just feel horrible and you get into this negative thought spiral where you get into this rabbit hole and it's hard to pick yourself out of that, right? And you did it, and I really want to talk about what changed for you then, and how it transformed your life, because now obviously you got used to talking to girls and going to social gatherings. So let's talk about that. What changed for you after that first breakthrough that you had?
Yeah, it's funny because when people think about like dating or like talking to girls or whatever, they only think about like the surface layer. And it's funny because I've seen like some of my mentors or like people, like there are people that label themselves like POAs, right? Pickup artists. Yeah. And it's really saddening because in this industry, in like the socializing, personal development kind of industry, is so niched and is so underground that they are really not gonna lie to you, to be blunt, they're really like bad people in this industry, like really like terrible people I don't want to associate with. In fact, like 98% of people from this industry I do not want to associate with.
Like I've only heard about that a little bit, but I also know that some people are just using shady tactics, sort of. Yeah. But I never realized that it's so bad.
yeah, exactly. And it's really interesting because on the marketing industry, like the entrepreneur industry, there are a lot of people in Robert, like you have a lot of people on your channel that you can talk and just like, share the journey. And like, there are a lot of good people, right? And there are also a lot of bad people. But in my industry, either like the good people, like people with good intentions, they quite frankly don't have real life experience. They just talk about theories that they've never like went out and tested, or they talk about like clinical studies, which is great, but it lacks like practical applications. And there are people who are really just shady that quite frankly I do not want to associate myself with. And so there's this recent documentary on BBC just exposing those kind of people, those PUAs, pickup artists, and those channels and YouTube channels, and their business just went out. Really? And along with them, some of the good people who were in the industry, who are actually doing good, helping men gain more confidence, actually develop the skill and really find themselves, those people got taken down as well, which is really saddening. And the reason why I tell you that is because me just going up and talking to girls, getting the girls' numbers, yes, I started with that. And I've done like put in so many hours, so much effort, a lot of anxiety attacks, a lot of tears and laughters, and those things molded me as a human being. The thing is, back then I couldn't just talk to people. I just couldn't do it. And I couldn't talk to people. I couldn't make friends. I couldn't have cool experiences in life. And me doing that, me going up and talking to people, like facing my fears and like practicing in the battlefield, like in the trenches, not just talking about theory, but like doing the thing. It changed me like 180. Like people can recognize me. And what this has done for me is, obviously when I go to a social gathering, I can talk to people, I can meet people, and I can add value to people. That's one of the things that taught me. It's so funny because when you think about sales and marketing and you think about dating and socializing, it's so similar. And why is that? It's because human psychology is human psychology. So in marketing, you learn about scarcity, you learn about social proof, all those things, right? I learned all those things when I was learning socializing. So it's really interesting because people usually learn those concepts like social proof and urgency and scarcity in marketing. But I learned that when I was like talking to people. So how social proof applies in human interactions is if you're around a lot of people, a lot of cool people, or a lot of cute girls, then that's social proof. So
True.
it makes it easier for you to meet other people because they see you. Oh, like he's not a creepy guy. He's with other people.
He's not staring
In
in a corner right there.
exactly.
Yeah,
So exactly. So in marketing, it's like testimonials gives you social proof. It's like, oh, this product actually works. In human interactions, like, oh, like he's with other people. He's not creepy. So it's all those things that I was able to learn. And the thing is, like, obviously you go to social gatherings, like you can meet people. And the thing is, like, a lot of business opportunities came my way. It's crazy. I'd go out to a club or like a private event and I'd meet people and they're like, so what do you even do? Do you work here? I was like, no, I'm just like hanging out. I got invited. And they would like offer me business opportunities. Like, hey, you're really good with people. Do you want to, I got offered like promoter jobs and like I had fun with that. And I've had, I had people reach out to me. Hey, do you want to work in my MLM or like, do you want to work with,
sure.
do you want to work in a marketing or sales job in my company? Like all these things, because you have like you're good with people, you have that skill set that not that many people have. Now that's one thing that's done for me. Again, like on like the 42nd or 43rd day of me just going, I constantly talking to girls. I lost my virginity at the age of 19, which is like for me, like I thought it was impossible. So when you see like porn videos, I thought that was just like on the internet, it's like impossible. I just for me, it was a delusional reality that for me, I just thought I couldn't have sex with women. Now, once I actually went beyond that barrier, and the girl thanked me for giving her a good time, that's when I realized like,
whoa,
oh, like you don't have to take from girls to have sex with them. Like you can give, and they'll thank you for giving them a good time, and you'll both win instead of like you just trying to take. And so, a lot of people, the PUAs, most people in the industry, they just try to take, right? They just try to like, oh, like how can I get from the girl? How can I get the sex? How can I get the number? It's like, no, you're not getting the number. You're exchanging the number. You're adding something adding something valuable to her life that she's like, oh, the number is like, let's keep in touch because I love the feeling that you're giving me. So it got me to understand human psychology. It's like, oh, like you got to add to people's lives and they'll add back. Like that's usually how it goes. And I'll go to like family gatherings and I'll be the one like kind of hyping up the party, right? So like I'll be like starting conversations with people, and it's crazy. Like I'd go to family gatherings when I was like younger, 12, 13. For me it would be miserable. And the family gatherings, like everyone in my family is like, my extended family is like so quiet and not outspoken, so like it would be like super quiet. We're just eating the food. But after learning this, I'll go out to dinner with my family, my cousins and my grandparents. I'd be cracking jokes and it'll be fun. Like we'd be having fun with our family. Like, so this doesn't just apply to like, oh, like talking to girls, like cool party tricks. Yeah, that's cool. That's fun. But also like every human interaction, every person that you interact with, you are adding something valuable to their lives. And it can be materialistic, yes, but it can also be something money cannot buy. So that was something that changed in my life and the people around me. So it was so valuable. It's definitely something money can buy for sure.
True. Yeah. Because like, if you see it from that, point of view, where every single conversation that you have with somebody, you can add value, and sort of like having that breakthrough moment where you have that epiphany, like, hey, I don't need to take all the time. I can actually give, and we can have, a good conversation, with the both of us. Right. And, I like, one thing that you said, which popped in my mind is this barrier that you mentioned. Right. And I always love to say that, fears, and you also said, facing your fears. And for me, like, I see a lot of fears as this mental wall or this mental barrier that you put up for yourself. Right. So when you think about doing something, it's like, let's say, you want to talk to that girl. Right. And actually, talking to that girl is sort of like this wall, like in front of her is this wall that you have put up, right? And now thinking of talking to that girl, you start running, and now you're afraid to kind of like smash against that wall that you have built. But once you face that fear and once you go through that wall, all of a sudden you're like, holy shit, there was no wall. Like I just, imagined that. Like that was just my imagination, and having that epiphany, I believe that that's sort of like once you start facing your fears and once you realize that this wall was just imaginary, you all of a
Mhm.
sudden start thinking like, what else is? Like, where else do I put
Mm.
up these walls? You know? So perhaps that was kind of like a catalyst moment for you as well, where you broke through that fear, right? Of having possibilities of human interaction. And what else changed, through sort of that epiphany that you can give and have, human interaction and, nice social connections?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a great point. And here's the thing, because I put out about 2 or 3 years ago, I started my YouTube channel, and I
Mm,
started sharing my journey when I was like what I was like learning throughout the process, and I started like documenting that. And sometimes I'll post blogs from Medium, and like one thing that stood out to me as like a social exercise, I was like crazy, but I just like went on the Korean subway, where
mm.
like Korean traditional clothes, right? It's not like these like we call these like Western clothes, and so we were
Yeah.
like Korean traditional clothes, and I would go in there and I'll sing the Korean national anthem from verse 1, verse 2, verse 3, verse 4. So this
Mhm.
lasted about 10 minutes, and I documented that. I posted on YouTube. Kind of went not super viral, but like or around like 4,000 people saw it.
Nice.
At the time, I had like a very tiny channel, so it was like
Mhm.
people found out about me that way.
Mhm.
And every time I see the video, I cringe. Like I hate
Yeah.
it, to be honest,
Uh-huh.
because for me, like I know, like in social interactions, it's way much more than just the flashy stuff that you see on YouTube. Like
Mm.
it's actually the boring stuff that transforms you as a person, that moves the
Yeah.
needle forward in the conversation,
Mm.
that deepens the relationship with the girl, with your boss, with your potential business partner, with your potential client, all those things. And
Yeah.
so I don't like that, but it did bring a lot of exposure to me. It put me on the map. And there's one
Mhm.
girl actually messaged me on Snapchat. And usually when girls message me on Snapchat, it's for different reasons. But this
Yeah.
girl reached out to me saying like, "Hey Brian, just saw your subway video, and just want to say like she was super inspired, like thanking me for the video." I was like, "Oh, that's super
Oh,
cool." And
yeah.
then she was telling me how she has like insane anxiety, like worse,
Mm.
almost as or like almost as bad as mine, perhaps worse in some cases. So
Yeah.
she had trouble leaving her house. Like she has
Wow.
so much anxiety that she couldn't even leave her house.
Mm.
Now, for some people listening to this, they can't even relate to this, because some people it's like you talked about the mental barrier for them.
Mhm.
It's just they live in a different reality,
Wow.
and so she asked me for some advice, and then I was like, okay, well, and like at that point, like I hear like the same common scenarios over and over again, right? So I basically gave her what do you say, like kind of like a like something to do, like this one thing I
Mhm.
told her to do, and then she's like, God, I don't know, like because she said, quote unquote, she was looking for a magical unicorn pill,
Yeah.
because people
As
with
always.
anxiety, yeah,
Mhm.
people with social anxiety, especially though, because they have the mental health issue that they're struggling with. This is what pains me. People who struggle with social anxiety or those kind of things, they are relying on prescription pills.
Mm.
They are relying on something from the doctor that they
Yeah.
take, and it gives them like a false sense of reality, false sense of comfort, that the anxiety kind of goes away, then it comes back again.
Mm.
And people call it like relapsing. It
Yeah.
comes back to you, and like without the pills, people can't function. Like I've had so many friends in college who are dealing with anxiety or social anxiety, and without the pills, they couldn't even like go out to the party with me. Like it was
Yeah.
like there's like, dude, my anxiety is like it's acting out. I can't.
Yeah. So you
And
kind of
with
like cure the symptoms, right? You only cure the symptoms, but not the root cause.
exactly, so it's like putting a band-aid on a broken arm. Like the arm's
Yeah.
broken, you gotta fix the
Yeah.
root cause, and you give them a
Oh, that's
band-aid.
gonna
What are
fix
you
it.
doing, doctor?
Yeah.
Yeah, and like I
Uh-huh.
I see that so often in this space.
Mm.
And with her, it was the same thing. She was taking pills, and it wasn't helping her. She's like, yeah, it got better, but like it relapsed, and like I had rock bottom moments. I was like, okay, like do this. And he's like, I was kind of looking for a magical unicorn pill. Not gonna lie, a little disappointed, but okay.
Mm.
I can't guarantee you I'm gonna do it right now, but once I get the courage, I'll do it. And to me, honestly, like I thought she was just not gonna do it, because most
Yeah.
people, especially when it comes to becoming your better self, in socializing, is
Hmm.
hard, because in
Yeah.
internet marketing, yeah, you click some buttons
Yeah.
on in your laptop, you make some funnels, or like you
Hmm.
click some ads, like
Hmm.
getting out of your comfort zone. Okay, putting on the internet, that can be, I understand, I have empathy, like I understand how vulnerable you can be,
Yeah.
but talking to a human, like
Hmm.
going, putting ourselves in the real world in real time, that's a different story.
True.
So for her, what I told her to do, she's like, I don't know if I was going to do it. And I didn't think she was going to do it because most people can't do this. Like,
True.
it's very simple, but it's hard. Like, most people can't do it. Like you said, like there's the barrier.
Yeah.
And I didn't hear back from her about like for 2 weeks. And then she messaged me back. She's like, hey, so, I did the thing. And she's just like this, between you and I talked, I got fired from my first job because, my anxiety was so bad. I was late to work every time and my performance was bad. And the boss fired me for obvious reasons. And that's reasonable, right? Her performance was bad at her work. But, and her anxiety was so bad. And like, she's like, okay, like that was her rock bottom moment. Yeah. And that's when she decided to do the thing that I told her to do. And she went out and did it. And she put herself out there, got on as many job interviews as possible, which for some people with anxiety and social anxiety, they can't even do that.
True.
Like it's so bad in their stomach, so bad in their psyche that they can't even like sit down in a chair in front of like 5 to 10 people just telling about themselves.
Yeah.
But she did it, and she landed her second job. And she was telling me how, and like, I did the thing you told me to do, and the people who interviewed me, they like me, and nice. You know, like I have a good relationship with my colleagues. Like we joke around, and I feel comfortable at work, which she was not at her first job. Yeah. And now she feels more comfortable. And she says, and now I feel like I can stand up for myself when the time comes, when push comes to shove. And I just want to say thank you for doing this. And when I saw that, that's when I realized, like, oh my God, this stuff is powerful. Like meeting people and like cracking jokes, that's cool. Like it's a huge part of our for emotional health and mental health. That's great. A lot of fun, a lot of cool experiences. And I keep hearing this over and over from people who cannot keep jobs, who cannot advance in their career or their business, because guess what? Careers and businesses, you still have to meet people, and you still have to like work with a team or work with potential clients, work with potential buyers. And if you can communicate that or even get in front of those people, then like you're gonna struggle a lot. So that's when I realized how powerful this is and how it changed other people's lives. And I was like, oh, like, wow, like people, this is important. Like people need this stuff. So that's another thing that transformed, helping other people with their life in general. The people around them and their lifestyle in general. Like that was huge. Definitely.
Yeah. That's awesome. And now we've been talking a lot about, you know, sort of like the bad side of the social anxiety and how horrible it is. And now you mentioned, you know, at one point you mentioned an exercise, at another point you mentioned this one thing. Do you still remember what you told her to do to gain that confidence? Because I really want to give people a few tools how they can get, gain that self-confidence. How can they get out of that social anxiety? Because obviously that's the problem that we have. And I want to give them a solution to that. So let's talk about that.
Yeah, definitely. And like, to be honest, like I don't remember like the exact specific exercise that I gave her, but it was like one simple exercise. But if you're watching this right now or listening to this, and you basically like you're listening to us talking right now, and you're like, oh my God, this sounds like me. Or like maybe you would just want to try this out. One thing I highly urge you to do is like just go about your day and say hi or good morning to every single person you meet, like every single person. Start with that. And I call it a hit and run opening. Basically, just as you go about your day,
exactly, and then run away.
Because the thing is, like, not everyone can just like go walk into a nightclub and like start talking to people, or like just walk into the networking event and like like meet every single person there. It's like, I do believe in like desensitizing into the process. So, and like that's what I teach like other people. So what I highly suggest you do is like just as you go about your day, maybe on your college campus, maybe on your way to work, on your way to like whatever, like you're taking a walk, like one person comes from the other way, just like make eye contact, say hi, or like say good morning. And I did this, and the reason why I'm telling you is that I actually did this when I was in college. At this point, about a year into learning social interactions, and I did this saying good morning or like hi to every single person I met. My social life just like drastically changes. Like it's crazy. Like it becomes a point where like when they first see you, like some people are gonna be like hi, or like oh good morning, or like they'll be like super happy. It doesn't matter. Like obviously like it's gonna brighten up their day, but like, it's more for you. It's like not the results for today, but like 90 days from now, the person that you're gonna meet 90 days from now, the girl you're gonna meet 90 days from now, or like the potential business client that you're going to have a deal with 90 days from now. Just think about that and just say hi and bye to every single person you meet in the line for Starbucks, whatever. Like, just say hi or like good morning or like doesn't matter. Like lower your expectation. Just start with that, and you do that well enough, and you can drastically see that barrier we talked about, Robert. It just goes down because it gives you like tangible proof that the world is not as scary place as you think it is. Not everyone's like out to get you, because like that's one of the mental blockages that I had and a lot of people have, is like they think that, you know, like when you're eating alone at a restaurant, everyone's staring at you, or like you like you do something embarrassing in public, like sneeze or like whatever, like everyone's like staring at you and like they're out to get you, like pull out their phone and like the secret and they're like, oh, like exposed. Like no, people have things to do. Like they're so stuck and focused on their own reality. So just do this, like go by your day, say hi and bye to everyone. And I did this in college, and it got to a point where like people see you over and over again. In psychology, we call this mere exposure effect, where it's like this burst of interaction, like very short, maybe a second to 5 seconds, but it compounds and adds up. And that's like more powerful than like one really long interaction. And it gives you massive comfort. And this is why, like, you ever see on the news, like some serial murderer gets caught and they interview the neighbors. They're like, hey, did you know John was a serial killer? And they're like, oh my God, John was the nicest guy ever. And they freak out, even though they don't even know John. They're just his neighbor. They just talk like, nice weather, isn't it? Like all those things over like 10 years. And that's what mirror exposure does. It gives you like massive rapport and comfort. So like if you live in a big city, like you may not even run into the same person over and over again. It doesn't matter. It's for you. If you live in if you're, you know, going about your day on a college campus or like a small town, people are going to know you. And that's good. And I know there's a success barrier. It's like, oh, now people are going to know me. No, it's like, no, it's a good thing. Like flip the switch. Now people know you. And what happened was people started inviting me to parties. People started inviting me to, hey, why don't you come to, we're doing sushi. Why don't you come? And sometimes I would like initiate. It's like, hey, do you want to go sushi with my friends? And they're like, they know me from saying hi and bye for the past like semester, and how they're like, oh yeah, whatever, sure. So this is super powerful for you to see like actual physical proof that the world's not a scary place and you can do this. And it gets you out of your shell. And eventually, like, don't think about like 10 steps ahead. Just think about this. And eventually you'll start conversations and you'll be able to do small talk and you'll be able to like connect with someone on a very deep emotional level and really develop the friendship, relationship, business relationship, whatever it is. So start with this. Just say hi and bye to everyone you see as you go about your day.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's an amazing exercise. And, you know, thank you for sharing, because that obviously, you know, have this compound effect where like, you know, you will get better and better at it. And then, you know, from a hi, it might turn to, hi, how you doing? Right. You know, and stuff like that. And then you get into the conversation, as you said. And I believe like, even if that is still too much for you, you can even just go about just smiling to, you know, random person, right? Having eye contact and smiling, that is, you know, even that is a good start. And not only you get better at doing it, but you actually put a smile into the world, and that might have a butterfly effect on that person, like all of a sudden, because smiling is contagious, right? If you start smiling to random people, they're like, okay, then I guess I'm going to smile as well, right? And then they continue, you know, throughout their day, and they smile to different people. And all of a sudden, you had this positive effect on making the world a better place without even realizing that, you know? So that is also very, very powerful that, you know, you might want to think about. You know, and there's one thing that you mentioned where, you know, you have this thought or this mental belief that everybody is out there to get you, right? That you don't want to play big. You don't want to, you know, be this guy who everybody is looking for. So that's why you just play small. Like you don't want to, you know, have any attention whatsoever. And that obviously, you know, comes down of this fear of judgment, right? And that is a huge, huge fear for a lot of people, because we don't want to be judged. And I did a video about that, you know, earlier, about sort of like how to overcome that fear of judgment. But what is, you know, your take on the fear of judgment and how it is holding people back, and how they can also resolve that fear of judgment?
Yeah, definitely. And I know, Robert, I saw the video and like you talked about having belief in yourself. And I think that's definitely powerful. For me, I'm such a tactical person. For me, like I've tried meditating, I've tried positive affirmations. I could never work for me. But I do think that's a complementary stuff. For me, I think what's the most important is actually doing those having those belief and also seeing the proof for yourself. So fear of judgment, just go out and like say hi and see what happens. The world doesn't end. You didn't die. You know, it's like it's not like they go out on Instagram or Facebook and they talk about, oh my God, this weird guy talked to me on the street, I'm just so disgusted. The world is a horrible. No, it's like no, like, and like if someone does that, and that's their problem. They're the weird person. So the most important thing is fear of judgment. Just get proof and get as much feedback as possible. And if you do get a negative reaction, because for me, for a lot of people, when they first start out, they have a lot of you know, like when someone walks into a room and you can kind of like sense their energy. I know it sounds very woo-woo, but someone walks in and one person will walk in and it, like the whole room will like bright up and like they're in, you know, like the positive energy and like everything's like so energetic. And the next person will walk in, it just feels like the energy just sucked out of the room. You ever feel that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So for me, I was the latter for the longest time. And for a lot of people just starting out, you'll be the latter and you'll be a little, it'll come out a little stiff. But that's good. And you want to start like Robert, your first video, right? You cringe. And I cringed at my first video. Like I was like, what am I doing?
What am I like?
What am I talking like that? And like, that's good. And I know the co-founder of LinkedIn, I think his name is Reid Hoffman. He said, if you don't cringe or you're not embarrassed of your first product, then you've launched way too late. And I agree with that. And this doesn't, obviously this applies to business, right? And what Reid is talking about there is you just try to make it perfect. And this conversation has to be perfect. It has to be this James Bond, like super smooth, like no, like Gary Vee talks about 1 is always greater than 0. And you always want to start. You're going to suck. Then eventually you're going to suck a little less and you'll get better. And then like you'll be amazing. And so the fear of judgment, just get as much data as possible. For me, I'm such a like technical like data person. Like just want to get as much like data in your brain as possible. So like if you say this and, you know, let's say if you smile, then they smile back, you're doing good. You smile, they get creeped out. Maybe look yourself in the mirror. See how you look like in the mirror. Maybe adjust a little bit. And for some people it's so normal and like their facial expressions are so smooth. But I had to do different exercises for my facial expressions. I'm like still working on it. And what you want to do is like watch YouTube videos, and I'll be like very careful like who you get advice from because there's so much weird stuff on the internet. So you want to find the right mentors, find the people who have the exact lifestyle that you have and like follow their advice and model after that. So basically like see how their facial expressions look like, how they talk, what kind of languages they use, and model after that. And like I'm just saying, like mentors are cheat code for life. Like that's just like it'll progress like so fast. So fear of judgment, obviously, like if you have a mentor, they'll give you guidance and it'll shortcut your process and also taking action, implementing in the battlefield, aka like actual real-time human interactions. And you know, look yourself in the mirror before you go in the battlefield, like maybe practice. So like it's like complementary, it's like harmonic, like have belief that this is gonna work, but also go out and like field test, like split test, you know, like in business people split test, but in like when it comes to human interaction, people don't split test. I'm like, dude, like what you doing in business applies like almost the same in human interactions and social interactions, because human psychology is still human psychology. So go out and just iterate, you know. I hate to be that cliche motivational like Instagram video guy, but like you want to like fail fast and iterate fast. And Russell Brunson says this too. You got to like iterate, like just you know just try fast and you know fail fast and succeed fast.
And it's also what Tony Robbins, I believe, said, like if you have a goal, right, and it doesn't work out, then change your approach, but don't change the goal, right? It's just like, you know, fail.
Absolutely.
And that, you know, that's the next thing. I love that you say just like fail fast and just implement and iterate, because a lot of people are obviously, you know, going next to the next fear, which is the fear of failure, right? People do not want to fail because for them, they see failure as a negative, bad thing. And I've talked about that, you know, in one of my previous videos as well, where once you start seeing failure as part of the process and a part of the growing process, because only if you sort of feel pain and you are falling down and you are failing, you are actually learning, because you are putting yourself out there. You're putting yourself outside of your comfort zone. You are expanding your potential. And only when you do that, you are actually gaining, more power, more strength, more muscle, more confidence. But you actually first got to do that. So when you start seeing failure as part of the process, as part of the game, and as something needed in order to sort of become your best self, you are not going to be afraid of failure anymore, because then it's needed to grow. So that's I love that, and it's very powerful. And it's actually, in one of the previous interviews, a lady said that, which was really true, is that failure is sort of like the same step forward as success is, right? Because a lot of people think that failure is a step backwards because you fail, right? But in the end, like, if this is your goal, and whether you succeed or you fail, it is still a step forward, because if you fail, this doesn't work, and I need to iterate, I need to learn something new, I need to develop and expand. So it's the same step. So once you also start seeing that, I really like that idea of the failure and the success being the same step towards achieving your goal is a really, really cool idea, right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's like you said, it's not I like that. It's not a step backwards, it's actually a step forward. And it gives you like what not to do, right? So you don't make the same mistake again. Yeah. So like I do this like every day at 10 p.m. I got this from my mentor. He's a digital marketer. And what he says is basically every day at 10 p.m. you write down what you messed up today, so you don't repeat the same thing again. So awesome. He calls it like reflect on the truth that you learned today, and like you write down the truth. Do not do this again. Yeah. And that gives you like this like whole backlog of like, what not to do. And then it just like narrows down and more what you need to do. So you go talk to someone and you make a joke, and maybe they're a little too overwhelmed. They maybe tone it down a bit, or maybe you say a joke and then the person doesn't laugh or react. Maybe crank it up a notch. Yeah. So that's really like, and actually like I'm like this weird guy, because like I would practice at strip clubs. So for me, like I would go to Vegas, and this one my mentor told me. What he does is like he'd go out to strip clubs and practice conversations with strippers was one of the like fastest ways to improve his social and dating life. Okay. And so I did that because I listened to my mentors. I go out and like I practice, because man, strippers are hardcore, man. Like they have no mercy. Like if they think you're stupid, they'll tell you you're stupid. Yeah. It makes you tough. It toughens you up. And so most people go to strip clubs to, see booties, and that's cool. Yeah. Like I go there and like, that's super cool too. And some people get hustled by strippers, but I'll go out and I'll either go by myself, or like I'll go out with other girls, or like I'll go out with other friends, and I'll talk to strippers. And usually strippers come to you, which is like amazing. You don't even have to like approach. Strippers come to you because they're trying to hustle you. Sure. You just keep the conversation going, and then I can see like how far can I take this like joke, like how funny can I be, or like do I need to tone it down a bit? And like I learned jokes from them, and it's like basically like this training ground. You're practicing in the dojo before you actually like get into a fight. So making mistakes, if you have to, obviously like in real time, that's great too. Obviously if you have a mentor, like you're gonna let's make mistakes, because I tell you do not do this, which is great. But also like do not be afraid to make mistakes as well, because it's going to teach you not to do, which gives you a better idea of what to do.
And that's very interesting, this exercise of writing down the things not to do, sort of, or like the things where you sucked at. Because I'm the complete opposite. What I write down, like for the past 3 years, I believe, I have a success journal where I write down all the positive things, all the achievements that I had, and that really boosted my self-confidence in a way as well, and also my self-worth, because now I started to realize like, oh my God, like I'm achieving a lot in that day, and now I can look back and see where I started and what I did to get to where I am today, right? So it's interesting that you have sort of have like the opposite exercise of writing the things down that didn't really work out, but as we said, like you learn a lot from your mistakes and from your failures. So I might implement that in a little manner as well, where I write down things that I could change and improve, because I'm a journal guy. Like I love journals, and it's just like so fucking helpful. So yeah, definitely. Thank you for that exercise. So
Yeah, no
another
problem. No,
thing.
I think that's really good because like we oftentimes we go about our day
Mm-hmm.
and we look ourselves in the mirror every day and we kind of forget what kind of things that we have accomplished.
True.
And one of my mentors like kind of tells me the same thing. So I've tried that for a while, where
Mm-hmm.
you write down what you have accomplished
Yeah.
so far in your life, little
Mm-hmm.
or big.
Yeah.
And that's lowering the bar because we're so perfectionist, man,
Oh yeah.
especially like
Oh my
entrepreneurs or
God.
like people who want to get more out of life, which is great. Like you want to be your
Yeah.
best self, like obviously, but
Exactly.
at the same time, you've accomplished a lot, whether you want to admit it or not, whether you want to
Yeah.
acknowledge it or not, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
business related or like other things. Like
Yeah.
if you've helped your little sister how to do her math homework, that's an accomplishment. Like you've helped
Exactly.
someone. So I think that's great. You have that like positive feedback loop going by
Mm-hmm.
doing your success journals. That's I think
Exactly.
that's yeah, definitely people can implement that and like it's gonna
Absolutely.
change their life drastically,
For
definitely.
sure. And there is, one book that I read, I think it was like a few months ago, which is called Psycho-Cybernetics by Maxwell Waltz.
Yeah.
And that's a fantastic book, which talks, a lot about, self-image and sort of going back to those positive moments, your achievements where you actually did something great or you achieved something. And because like, there's this, I don't know, fact, or I know if it's a fact that we have like 50 to 70,000 thoughts a day, right? And
Damn.
like 95% of them are repetitive. So we think about them all the time, over and over again. And 80% of those thoughts are actually negative, right? And also like all those unconscious, like subconscious thoughts where, we constantly sort of like think about all the negative stuff that might happen to us, might happen to the world, especially in the time that we live in right now. A lot of negativity is going around all the time. And if you obviously surround yourself, with those negative thoughts, like you're gonna get this negative feeling inside of you. And because of that negative feeling, the actions that you take are not gonna be on, 100% of your potential. And, therefore you're gonna get a result that isn't really, up to par of where you want it to be, right? So that's why this book is so incredible. And, writing down all those fantastic moments in your life where you actually achieved something. And if you're listening to this and you think to yourself, oh, there's nothing I achieved in my life. No, you will probably have achieved a lot because you came to this point right now. You came to this
Yes.
point, you are still alive. You perhaps have a roof over your head, you have a job or not, but you are alive and you are here. And that's an achievement in itself, right? And you are a functioning part of the society in a way, I hope. But like having those moments in front of you and realizing that you're actually achieving a lot in your life is incredibly, incredibly powerful. Because if you go back to those moments all the time, whenever you sort of feel down, you can pick yourself up from this rabbit hole, which is negativity, just by thinking about all the great things that happened in your life. And all of a sudden you're like, yeah, man, I did that. Like, I can be proud of myself for doing that. Right. And once you can do that, you literally just gonna be your own coach and your own, sort of cheerleader. And you're just gonna be so much more happier in your life,
That's so
Yeah.
true. And especially because when you see, and oftentimes when it's crazy because when we just think about it, we can't necessarily like describe what we've done in the past.
True.
But once you like spew it out on a piece of paper
Yes.
or like a Word document, then you start to see like, oh, like I did that. Oh yeah, I did do that. And it's like, so I know it sounds really cheesy and like some books, like some audiobooks, like I'll hate it. Like Grant Cardone or like Dan Locke, these guys, when I listen to the audiobooks, they're like, write this down on a piece of paper and do not move on to the next chapter until you do this. I'm like, dude, I'm just listening to the audiobook. Like, why do I have to? And like, I pause the audiobook and like go to my laptop and like write it down. It's like, oh, I did do that. That's crazy. So like, if you're listening to this and you think that, man, I haven't accomplished a lot. No, you have. Just like pause this podcast right now. Take out a piece of pen and paper or go on a Word document and like write down 3 things, 3 accomplishments, big or small. Do not judge yourself. Just write them down. And like once you like physically, like with your eyes see that, that's when you realize like, oh, I've done that. Like I want to accomplish more now. So that's definitely some positive feedback loop that you need to be going in your life right now.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I love the power of writing things down, because a lot of times, there's also, this, I don't know if it was a study or not, but like it said, people that actually write down their goals are so much more, likely to actually accomplish those goals because they have physically written them down, instead of
Hmm.
just thinking about it all the time. And since
Yeah.
I'm, that big of a journal guy and I write down like so much stuff, I just know, and I know for a fact that writing things down and putting your thoughts into words and putting them onto paper, like I would recommend doing it on paper, but obviously, on Word, it works as well, because just this motion of taking a pen and actually,
Hmm.
with your physical body, sort of like writing it is, in my opinion, so much more powerful than just typing it on the computer. But once you write things down, you give them more meaning, like they become more real. And then that's why,
Yeah.
I love what you said, that, pause this right here and just write it down, because
Yeah.
that's going to be so much more powerful than just, sitting there, still listening to us and thinking about, okay, so what did I achieve? Oh yeah, there was this thing I did with this grandma. Okay, cool. Yeah. So that's not going to have the same effect as actually writing down
Yeah.
and really going deep into, certain moments in your life. And some of them might be long time ago, where something happened in school where you stood up for somebody else who was bullied or something. That was a
Yeah.
huge achievement that you can be
Hmm.
definitely proud of yourself. And, start finding those moments where you can be proud of yourself, because I believe that a lot of us, we are not giving ourselves enough credit, right? We
Hmm.
only see sort of like the lack that we constantly have. And that,
Yeah.
takes away from our confidence all the time. And we start doubting ourselves. And, believe it or not, like even though I am so much into this personal development stuff, I keep having those moments of self-doubt, of thinking, oh, like, oh, are people actually going to listen to me? And, who am I to
Yeah.
be, sharing self-development and all of that? Those
Mm.
thoughts still come up in my mind. So I cannot imagine, for somebody who's not into personal development at all, like how tough it must be for them to sort of, believe in themselves and, do great things in life, you know?
I agree with you. And like I'm so glad that you pointed it out, because like we are our like worst critics, right?
Oh yeah,
And I'm
for
I'm
sure.
so glad that you're being so real right now, because
Yeah,
most people like they want to share it, and like you even like being open and like sharing that as self. Most people
yeah,
can't do that. And it's
yeah.
something like what everyone goes through it. And it's crazy because I saw Russell Brunson speak at Fun Hacking Live
Mm-hmm.
on YouTube and like or wherever, and like he talked about even him, Russell
Mm-hmm.
Brunson, and like I think what is ClickFunnels, like 9-figure company or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Even him feels like, oh, dude, sometimes like when I talk about traffic, I feel like I'm not good enough to talk about it. I'm
Yeah.
like, what?
Exactly.
You've built 13 different $1 million business.
Mhm.
What are you talking about? And like is as I think as humans, for some people they're just naturals, right? So they're
Mm.
like they have so much absolute certainty and so much confidence
Yeah.
from birth to like whatever happened in their life, like to
Mhm.
whenever. Like there's like nothing stopping them. But
Yeah.
for a lot of people like you and me, Robert, or like for
Mhm.
whoever listening right now, it's like, yeah, like we go through that.
Yeah.
And it's important that you basically like brain dump from people that are telling you that, yeah, you can achieve more, like you can get more. And that's why I appreciate like podcasts like this or like other
Yeah.
influencers, because I really believe in self-education and not
Mhm.
formal education. I dropped out of college, and when I realized, and that's because I realized that what I was learning at school, it had no practical application.
Yeah.
And for me, when I was learning the social skills, how to talk to people, how to add value to people,
Mhm.
I learned all that from YouTube, from courses, from live coaching, from workshops and seminars, not
Yeah.
from school. And I don't remember like one thing I learned from school right now. Like I
Exactly.
really can't recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
So it's really important for you to brain dump and like basically download successful people's brains. And like Robert's doing an
Yeah.
amazing job, and like you can download Robert's brains, or like other people who come on their brains, and just like feed that into your brain, so you're not
Yeah.
self-sabotaging.
Mhm.
You're putting good stuff into your brain. Like people talk about like nutrition and like putting good stuff
Mhm.
into your body. That's fantastic. You should
Yeah.
definitely do that. But
Yeah.
how about your brain though? Like
Exactly.
your most important part of your body, like you
Mhm.
need to put good stuff in your brain. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's so important to not just self-sabotage yourself,
Yeah.
but and stop beating yourself up. Like write things down that you've done good in the world
Mhm.
and for yourself. But don't stop there though. Like go out and
Yeah.
like do more good. And like
Exactly.
basically like whatever you wrote down on the piece of paper is going to upgrade like day by day by day.
For sure. Absolutely. And love, the fact that you said, like like watch the input that you have, right? Because that's also something that a lot of people not misunderstand, but underestimate the things that we consume all the time, because we are so surrounded by negative news, especially what is going on right now. We constantly, and I do not understand how a lot of people can just have the TV on all the time while they do other stuff. Right. And they have like news on all the time. And even though they're not watching, it's like on all the time. And I believe like a lot of Americans have that, where the TV is staying on like the whole day. Even they're not home, it stays on. So when they get home, they don't even need to touch a button. It's already on. And it's just like, it just boggles my mind how much negativity and how much trash we are inputting into our brain all the time, especially with these little fuckers, where we are just like checking Instagram all the time. Like that's the first thing we do in the morning. We wake up and it's just like muscle memory. We unlock the phone, we swipe to the right, we press the third button, from the right top, right? And then boom, we're on Instagram. And all of a sudden we're just like mindlessly scrolling, through all the feeds of people's lives. And what people don't realize is that this behavior, this input that you give yourself all the time, you're going to feel so bad, because one, you start comparing your life to the people of others, to the life of other people, because you now all of a sudden see like, somebody standing by a waterfall in Bali, somebody doing, jet skiing around Dubai. And all of a sudden you're like, I'm laying in bed right here. My life sucks. My life is miserable, and you get yourself into this negative thought spiral. But just inputting so much negativity and shit into your mind, guess what is going to come out? Like only shit will come out of that, right? So really watch the input that you have all the time, and as Brian said, like, find yourself mentors or people that you really like listening to. Like if it's my content, I'm like, that's cool. Like I'm happy if you consume my content. But if you find somebody else who you really connect with and you like the personality, you like what he is talking about, then just consume all his stuff and just input a lot of positivity in your mind, because this is going to have a compound effect on you, because day by day you will just feel better about yourself. Like you're going to pick up like subtle things that you didn't even realize that you need, and perhaps you've heard it thousands of times, but not in that particular way, and that's also very powerful, because a lot of people, they just like, oh, I heard that already, like it's not going to work, because they never implemented that, so really watch the input that you're giving yourself, guys.
Yeah, definitely. And like one of my mentors, his name's Iman Ghazi, this 20-year-old making like multi-seven figures out in London, some crazy stuff, high school dropout. And what he always says is either you use social media or social media uses you. Yes. And I agree with that, because social media itself isn't bad. It's a tool. Just like everything else, it's a tool. Now, you can use a knife to cut an amazing, gorgeous steak, or you can use it to kill people. Same thing with social media. You can use it to put your content out, become a producer, and actually impact other people. Or use social media to connect with other people. Or you can use social media to, like you said, just wake up and like just scroll mindlessly like a zombie. And you're just gonna waste your life away. And like I highly urge you to download what is it called, a screen time. If you have iOS,
I think I have it.
So like if you have screen time, you can tell like how much time you spend on your phone and like how much time you spend on each app. And it'll surprise you. For a lot of people, they spend 5 or 6 hours on Instagram. And lately, like I've kind of like fallen off the wagon. Now I'm spending like maybe 2 or 3 hours on my phone each day, which is like, I really hate it, because when I was spending like 20 to 30 minutes, I was like so productive. Like I was getting so much stuff done. But more importantly, your mental clarity is so smooth. Like your head is so much lighter in a good way. And you're just in a more healthier state. But when you go through your phone every day, then you're just in a gaze, just like cloud things up in your brain. It's just not good for you. And like, as day go by, and like that's why human beings used to have like attention span of like 20 minutes or like 2 hours or whatever. Now we have like 7 seconds. And it's probably going to lower even more and more and more. So here's the thing, like social media, if you're listening to this, you're probably thinking about becoming an entrepreneur, like advancing your career, like gaining far in your life. So use social media as a tool, as your ally. So put content out or like connect with people instead of just like mindlessly scrolling through it. And like I highly challenge you to not look at your phone until 1 p.m. every day. And I try to do this And usually like I used to do this like every day for like 3 months straight. Lately I kind of like check my phone here and there, but like 1 p.m. don't check your phone until 1 p.m. In the morning, just like work out, go to your job, like whatever, like you know, go to brunch with someone and like not look at your phone. Obviously like social media is a tool, and I use it, and it's a powerful tool for business and for socializing with people. Because when you're networking with people, Instagram is super powerful. Instagram stories are super powerful, and it's like not even fair. You know, my mentor calls it, it's the best dating app, even better than Tinder. And I highly agree. Like for you know, meeting girls or like networking with powerful people, they'll watch your stories like so much. Like, it's crazy. It's like eat that stuff up. So like use it as a tool. Like I try to use it as a tool. Try to not look at other people's stories too much. Also realize Instagram and social media is a highlight reel. So if you look up like, I don't know, LeBron James highlight on YouTube, you're just gonna see LeBron James dunking on like 4 other guys, or like, like shooting like a 3-point line, and like making every single shot, because it is a highlight reel.
It's a highlight,
on Instagram, you see people in from the Lambo in their mansion, with like 50 other girls, and you know, like eating at fancy restaurants. Those are highlight reels. And I know some of these people who post these photos, and they even say, they're highlight reels. My life is not like that 24/7. Sometimes I chill at home. I just chill at home with my friends, or like, you know, or like I'm just working in front of my laptop, like building a business. But that's what people want to see. So I post that, and those are some of the things I do that to give people an idea where they can get to. So when you see those, like, don't like, because like when you watch those, you're just gonna think like, oh, like I'm never gonna be like them. Give up. Not even gonna start. No, don't look at it as like that. Like, try to not look at that stuff as much as possible, because you'll fall into that loop of just comparing yourself. But when you do look at that stuff, to think like, how can I do that? How can I get there? So see it as an inspiration, use it as a tool, and don't be tooled by it.
True. Yeah. And I, you know, talked about that, you know, quite a lot as well, where and that also, you know, made for me the biggest change, where I realized like I had a consumer mindset all the time, where I was just like consuming all the stuff. Like I was on social media, reading through all the posts on Instagram, and watching all those stories and all of that, buying all those products, having shiny object syndrome, and not, you know, implementing those stuff here and there. But all of a sudden I realized like, okay, like I have so much knowledge, I have so much stuff, like maybe it is time to switch from the consumer mindset to the creator mindset and start putting out content, start putting out products or videos and stuff like that. And once I made that switch from the consumer to the creator, you know, that changed a lot in my life. So, you know, I love what Brian said here, that, you know, guys, if you're listening to this and perhaps you can relate a lot to having way too much screen time on your phone, and that's the first thing you do in the morning. And, you know, I caught myself so many times, and I had a screen time app on my phone as well. And it was literally scary, like how many times not only I unlocked the phone, even though I wasn't really needing anything. And that's so like, it's like anytime you kind of like, it's challenging right now, you escape to your phone. You know, you just pick out your phone, and even though you don't know what you want to do, it's just like you just try to escape into this virtual reality, which is called your smartphone, you know. And you know, I also love what you said, that you're going to be so much more productive if you don't touch your phone, you know, for the first few hours in the morning. Because once you start touching your phone and you get all those notifications, you all of a sudden start reacting to the world. You let other people into your life, you start reacting instead of proactively living the life that you want to live and do the things that you want to do. And it's so crazy that sometimes, even if we have our phone on plane mode or on silent mode, but it is just like laying next to us. For example, like I have my phone next to me right here, but in my, you know, peripheral vision, I can still see it being there. And just by it being there, I'm mentally all the time in my phone thinking about like, oh, did somebody text me? Do I have a new Facebook message? Did my girlfriend text me? You know, and all stuff like that. And that leads to you not even being able to focus, you know, 100% on the work that you're trying to do. So that's definitely, you know, this fucker, just put it into the drawer, put it on silent mode, get it out of sight, out of mind. And that's how you definitely going to be so much more productive, you know, during your day, because this is such a time waster and energy waster.
Yeah, it's like out of sight, out of mind, right? So exactly. I want to just like one power tip. Like when you go to a party, we go to a networking event, you go to the nightclub, whatever, you're meeting people. the thing is like Instagram is like the most powerful like social tool, not like social
Yeah.
media tool, but like socializing tool.
Mm-hmm.
Because you go to a nightclub, I'll tell you this: you go to a nightclub, girls hanging out at the tables, they're not having fun at the nightclub. They go there
Yeah.
to take stories with their phones, do
Yeah.
the geotag. Hey, I was at
Uh-huh.
Omnia, I was at
Yeah.
XS Las Vegas, and
Mm-hmm.
post it on Instagram. So use that. Actually, like take stories with the girls or like with the people
Mm-hmm.
you want to network with on Instagram. Tag
Mm.
them, but like don't look at it. Don't look at other
Yeah.
people's stories. And it's
Mm.
a powerful tip because people want to connect with Instagram. So
Yeah.
naturally, as a marketer or as a person who wants to increase their social dating and networking lives, you go to where they are. You don't fight it. So
Mm-hmm.
you actually use it as a tool because they're gonna like seek you out. They're gonna hit you up.
Yeah.
They're gonna hit you on DMs.
Yeah.
And I was able to like, do like these group dates or like these group sushi dates, or like I was able to put on like these events, like these comedy
Mm-hmm.
nights for, for domestic awareness, domestic violence awareness, all those things. Use it as a tool, and like obviously like use it, but like don't look at like, oh, who watched my story, or like
Yeah.
don't look at like other people's stories. Just use it as a tool, and when you're not, just like put it away.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just going to serve you better long run.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, Brian, we are getting close to, like, we are actually over the 1 hour mark, which I wanted to keep it on, but I could just continue talking to you, so much, because I love
That was fun.
Conversations like this, because I believe that a lot of people learn a lot just, by brain dumping, like all that we know sort of like in that area. So awesome. There's two things that I want to ask you. Like one is, we talked a little bit about books and, the people that you sort of look up to. So what would be the top 3 books that you would recommend to somebody who wants to become their best self?
So if you want to become your best self, God, this is tough, but one book I want to recommend you, because I know you have a lot of entrepreneurs or like aspiring entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Read Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson. Yeah. That's just going to change your entire reality. You think, because like Robert and I just talked about, like what you go on a daily basis for you is so normal. Yeah. But once you read that book, you'll realize like, oh, I am an expert. I can impact people's lives.
True.
And maybe you have a job right now, or like maybe a YouTube channel, you have a blog, or maybe you have this thought. You see all these people, on YouTube or on social media, like doing what they love instead of just being stuck. And the thing is, once you do this, though, once you start teaching other people, then you become better at what you do. You become your best self, right? So,
exactly.
Because like as you do that, you have to like force yourself to expand, and it retains information better. So I highly urge you to read Expert Secrets. Another thing. Another book, this is a lethal book for understanding human psychology and how to apply it in your business or in your social life. So read a book called Influence by Robert Cialdini.
Yeah.
Lethal, like dangerous book. And when you read this book, I warn you and I beg you to be ethical, because you can really, like, I've gone like a dark hole one time, and like one time, like I broke a girl's heart, like pretty bad. And, like she cried because basically like applied the principles in this book, but I didn't use it wisely. Right. So like the persuasion, the human psychology stuff that this book talks about. Yeah. Use it, but use it for other people's benefit, not to take advantage of other people. So, but like, that's how powerful this book is. Right.
Okay.
So read Influence by Robert Cialdini. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And another thing, definitely read let's see, I think, like, for me, like Crucial Conversations. I forgot the author, but Crucial Conversations, like it's basically like self-explanatory. Yeah. And as you go about your day, not every conversation and human interaction you're going to have is going to be fun. It's not all going to be like sunshine and rainbows. At times, you're going to have conflicts. You're going to have arguments. You're going to have times where you're in a confrontational situation. So this book basically teaches you how to go about those kind of situations without, because the thing is, here's, man, like everyone, like human beings, we're like egotistical. Like we have so much ego, especially like entrepreneurs. Like I'm not going to lie to you. Like entrepreneurs, like coaches, like consultants, like these people like so egotistical. Yeah. And the thing is, like, you're going to come in situations where you're going to have to resolve, like you're going to like solve things out, whether it's a breakup, whether it's, your maybe your boy talk to the girl that you liked or whatever. Like
Mm.
you're gonna have to like communicate, or like you have to talk to your boss, you have to talk to your business
Mm.
partner, your potential client. You have to have these quote unquote crucial conversations,
Yeah.
and you're gonna want to do this effectively, or you're gonna just lose out on opportunities, relationships,
Mm.
and people, human connections that
Yeah.
you could have resolved it. You could have went about it the right way. So you read this
Mm.
book, the book's basically going to teach you how to go about it the right way, and basically save marriages, save relationships, save friendships, and save business relationships. And this is one of the books that helped me like so much.
Awesome.
Instead of just like fighting people, it's like, oh, no, I'm right.
Mm.
People like everyone's like, I'm right. I told you so. I
Yeah.
told you so. And it's like, no, but you can
Exactly.
go about it the right way. Like you don't have to
Mm.
win every time, So,
Mm.
and like people say, like
Awesome.
when you win, you usually lose, as in like you win the
Mm.
argument, but you lose on the big picture, right? So,
True.
read Crucial Conversations.
Mm-hmm.
So, Expert Secrets. That's basically like entrepreneurship stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Influence for human psychology and persuasion, and Crucial Conversations for having crucial conversations.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys. So, guys, if you want to check out those books, I'll link them in the description down below. I will definitely get myself Influence and Crucial Conversations because they sound definitely amazing. So thank you for sharing with that. And there's one last question that I wanted to ask you, because that's, usually like the question I ask at the end of the interview. And I love the answers that I get from, this question. And that is, if you could teach the entire world one single concept, one mindset, or one, fact that they would understand in order to make the whole world a better place, what would it be?
Your past does not have to equal your future.
I love that.
How is that applying to the conversation that we just had? So for 19 years of my life, I thought my past was how my future was going to pan out. I thought this was just how my life was going to persist and eventually end. I wasn't living, I was dying one moment at a time.
Yeah.
So I'm here to tell you right now to open up your third eye, because you don't know what you don't know. So I'm here to give you what you don't know right now. So once you're aware of the problem, then you can go find your solution. So wherever you're stuck in life right now, and we just talked about, for me, it was, I just thought it wasn't a reality to talk to people, get better socially, and transform as a person. Or maybe like you're stuck at a 9-to-5 job, like dead end job, like you think this is just how it is. Or maybe you're in a relationship, you're in a marriage where, God, it's just not how it used to be. Do I have to find another person, or can we fix it? And the answer is your past does not have to equal your future. And you can solve this by finding the answers. And one of the things that, God, I forgot what book it was. I think it was like a Stephen Covey book. The whole concept is like, seek first to understand, then to be understood. Meaning that try to understand what the other person has to say, then try to like get your point across, or like try to understand how the world works, then like put your information, like your opinion, whatever. So once you understand that there's a better future for you, you're listening to this, you're watching this, there's a better way. It doesn't have to end like this. It doesn't have to be like this the whole time. There's a better way of doing it. You got to find the right people, be around the right people. And I'm here to tell you that there are great things waiting for you at the end. Just got to go out. Like now I'm telling you that there is a way. So it's your job to go find it and really change your life, become your best self.
I love that. Thank you so much for sharing. So Brian, how can people find out more about you, or how can they work with you if they want help from you as well? Because I know you have a program as well. So how can they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you like what we talked about and you want to learn more about like how to socialize, like actual like tactical social skills, how to meet girls, how to network at these business events, whatever, make more friends. You can go to my YouTube channel. I put out nearly daily content there. You can learn about that there. You can go to you can search Brian Choi, that's BRIANCHOI, or you can go to youtube.com/Brian Choi official. Or if you're listening to this right now and you're thinking, okay, I don't know who this weird looking Asian guy is, but I like what he's talking about. I want to take action right now. I want to work with this guy. I want to improve my social life. I want to improve my daily life. I want to improve my networking life. Then you can work with me right away. You can go to socialcirclesecrets.com/apply. And you can fill out a form, pick a time that's good for you. and we can hop on a call and we can see if I can knock it out of the park for you, and we can go from there. So
fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. I'll make sure to leave the links in the description down below, guys. So if you want to check Brian's YouTube channel out, go ahead and do so. And if you want to start working with him, go ahead and do so. I can definitely recommend it from, what I've heard from Brian and just a conversation. And this is definitely a cool dude that you can definitely learn a lot from. So with that said, guys, if you enjoyed this interview, if you enjoyed this podcast, then let me know in the comments down below, and also make sure to smash that like button. I just learned that I'm a YouTuber, because like in the last video, like I subconsciously or unconsciously made that phrase of like, well, smash that like button, and that's usually what YouTubers always do. And like literally
Dude, I felt the same way.
And my first reaction was like, oh fuck, did I just become
I'm a YouTuber now?
I guess I'm a YouTuber now. So smash that like button, guys, and also make sure to subscribe to the channel if you want to see and hear more podcasts and videos from me and other people just like Brian as well. So yeah, with that said, Brian, thank you so much for hopping on this call today for this interview. I really had a lot of fun, and have a fantastic day.
Thank you, brother.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.